Okay, so good morning and welcome to the Teenage Sleepers Lab. It is 9 a.m. and I have only two students with me. I wonder why that is. I have Maram here with me and Emma, so welcome to you both. And what we're going to do today is take a look at this is a process that is hopefully new, but still easy enough. It's actually now getting into arguing. How do you argue? If you are not yet to assignment number 2.6.1, you'll want to get there because we want to make sure that you are able to turn the first draft of the writing document in on time. So what you would want to do if you're not at 2.6.1 is to make a Google Doc that says Writing Lab on it and submit that as the assignment for everything up to 2.6.1. If it's a discussion board, just write in the reply box Writing Lab. You still have to come and do these. This isn't a get out of jail free card. You have to actually go back and do them later, but they're not marked down if they come in a little late. The essay, the first draft, is the only thing that is subject to a 15% deduction if it's late. So you'll want to make sure to do that. Oops. I got to remember I'm driving from the back seat here. Okay. So what we're doing here, and the whole purpose of what this module has been about, what we try to do when we're, especially when something is wrong, usually what we do is we find that we get information, and suddenly we realize, hey, this is not right. We need to change something here. And so what you do is you research the problem, and then when you don't have an answer, you need to go out and tell somebody else, hey, there's a problem that needs to be solved. You are actually entering into an academic conversation. So when we take you through these modules, I don't know if you've noticed that there's been a pattern. You have pre-reading, reading, discussing what the issue is. And then you get into the pre-writing and then the writing. So you're entering a conversation. And this particular one is you're writing an argument regarding the topic of teenage sleep patterns and their effects on school performance. Now, notice how general that is. And it's general for a reason. You've gone through the process of looking at a couple of articles, a TED Talk, and a primary source interview where hopefully now you have information that can guide you to making your own claim. There's a lot of discussion on this about whether or not the schools can open later. Half of the schools in the Kern High School District do start at 8:25. And so the students there, you would think, should perform better than those that are early start schools. So whatever side you're on and you see a problem that needs to be solved, we're going to find the right audience, the right platform, and the right question for you to ask. Okay. Okay. So there were a lot of things that were thrown at you. And so what we start with are facts. So you watched the Wendy Troxel TED Talk. You looked at the blog from Lupin. You looked at the website of Start School Later. And then there were a couple of more articles that you took a look at. So here are some facts that came up. First of all, melatonin does not stop secreting in the teen body until 9 a.m. First of all, what is melatonin? It's the hormone that does what? Emma, do you remember what melatonin is?
It regulates sleep.
Yes. It regulates sleep. It's the hormone, that part of your body which makes you feel drowsy, which slows down the heart rate, which slows down your brain function, hopefully, and puts you to sleep. Okay. So the fact that it does not stop secreting until 9 a.m., why does this become a problem?
Because at that time students are already in school.
Mm-hmm.
In the first period.
It's and for some of them probably heading towards second period at this point. Yes. So that becomes a problem. That leads to a question. We also found out that the lack of sleep can lead to poor academic performance in teens. So that also brings up a question. If we know that this lack of sleep can stop teenage performance, then why are we not having these schools start later? Some side effects of lack of sleep in teens include depression, suicidal thoughts, and dramatic weight gain or loss. Warning. These are some, so it's not just academic performance, it's not just your mental capacity, but there's also some physical side effects that go along with the lack of sleep. And later school start times will have a negative impact on extracurricular activities in schools. So if you did start later, then it's going to push the day forward even farther. So that becomes a problem as well.
Wouldn't you be getting out like at 5?
Right. Some would. So here's the situation in the Kern High School District. There are 18 comprehensive high schools. That doesn't include your continuation schools or your satellite programs like Kern Learn. But for those comprehensive high schools, each one of them has to supply transportation. There's over 40,000 students in the Kern High School District from all different areas. And they have, and in fact, what they've had to do already is, it used to be that if you were more than a mile away from the school, you could qualify to be bused there. Now, because of the number of students in the district and the pressure that it puts on transportation, now it's 2 miles. So if you're just in that 2 mile border, you may find yourself having to walk to school 2 miles every day. So in order to accommodate that, the half the schools are what we call early start schools. They start at 7:25. So those are your schools like BHS. I think Frontier is an early start school. Emma, what's your home school?
Frontier.
Is it 7:30ish that you start, that the classes start?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Golden Valley starts at 7:32.
Yeah, so Golden Valley's another early start. Which one are you from, Landon?
I went to West.
West, is that a early?
I don't think so.
That's a later one, so it's like 8 o'clock.
I think 8:15.
Yeah.
First period.
Okay. The reason that is BHS is the early start. The buses that take the students to BHS, as soon as they're done, go and start picking up the students from West, and then they drop them off at West. Golden Valley, I believe, shares their buses with, I think, South. I'm not exactly sure. The one I do know is that North and Centennial share buses. So this way they only need half the number of buses. In order for all of the schools to start after 8 o'clock, you would either A, have to double the amount of buses that the school district currently has, which also means double the amount of bus drivers, which also means double the amount of insurance for those bus drivers. Or you can just move both schools up an hour, which means the schools like North and West would start at 9:15, which means they would end at about 4 o'clock. So that becomes the problem. So we know all of these facts, and they bring up questions. And so some of the questions that come up include, why do most schools start before 9 o'clock a.m. if teens are not yet awake. And the funny part is that this has always been the way schools operate. Schools always start earlier in the morning. Why do you think that is? Why is it schools start around 8 o'clock? You're like, I'm not awake yet. I don't know. Exactly. No. It also happens to be why we get summers off. It's the same reason. Yes, what happens is we're an agrarian society, which means that we are all the calendar was formed based off of, kids would wake up, they would help with whatever work needed to be done, and especially with the agrarian, if you're out there growing crops, you would have to during the summer do the harvesting. And so that's why we have summers off. Not because it's hot, because nobody wants to work during August. In fact, it's really the opposite, is that was when students were most needed at home to work. And it never quite changed from that. So we've always been working on this schedule where and parents are able to drop their kids off at school before they have to be at work. That's another reason why typically these schools start early. Good morning, Ms. Paulson.
Good morning. I'm sorry I'm late. I was distracted for a minute, but I'm here now.
Okay, great. We're just going over how the facts that we have lead to questions. So, did you not get this, Afnan? The presentation? The presentation link came last night.
And
you go to the English 11 folder.
Okay.
This is only for Miss Paulson. The rest of you don't have this.
Okay.
English 11, and then 11 3.0. See if I can. Let me help.
In module 3.0 or?
Well.
Oh,
there's another folder that says English 11 ERWC 3.0.
Okay.
And then under that is Teenage Sleepers.
Okay. You know what? I'm going to put you on hold for a minute. I have a student here at my desk, so I'm going to check it with him real quick, okay? And I'll try to find it in the meantime.
Okay. All right. Okay. So moving on. So these are the facts are leading into questions. So another question that comes up, I have to remember I'm driving from the back seat. Okay. How might later start times impact the academic performance of teens? And so if the fact is that we know that it can lead to it, how does it have that impact on it? Another question that comes up, would starting schools later decrease the rates of attempted suicides among teens? And then another question that can come up is changing the start times of schools worth the benefits it may or may not bring? So each one of these facts can lead you to a question. That's how it's supposed to be. When you're going through life and something seems wrong, you do a little research on it, and then you try and figure out, is there already a solution to this? And if not, what should the solution be? Once you have these questions, you can start now finding claims. Claims are what changes you want to see take place. So for our first question is, why do most high schools start before 9 a.m. if teens are not awake? This leads to the claim, middle and high schools need to start after 9 a.m. when the students are biologically awake. So now when you take that claim, that's one of the claims that you can argue that needs to happen. So this is a change that you want to happen.
Mrs. Campbell?
Yes.
So I have a student here at my desk who he's in our class, but he really needs me to work one-on-one. Are you okay if I just sign out and work with him?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, all right. I will later. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay. Starting schools later can greatly impact the academic performance in teens. So notice that this one is just focusing on the academic performance. Allowing students to come to school later can decrease the rates of depression and suicide in teens. Or SB 328, and I'll tell you more about SB 328 in a little while, which seeks to force all middle and high schools to start no earlier than 8 a.m., will have a negative impact on families that will outweigh the small benefits. That SB 328 actually was passed by the representatives in California, and it was on the governor's desk. The governor vetoed the bill. It would have required that every middle and high school start no later than 8 a.m. And I actually got a little nervous because if he did that, this would not be an issue anymore. So I wrote to him and said, you shouldn't pass it. I was being very selfish. But actually, and we'll talk a little bit later as to why he vetoed that bill. Okay, so here's what you're going to have. You're going to have three options that you can use for responding to this. You can write a speech, and this is a written script, or a letter. Now, Miriam and I were talking earlier about how, if you wanted to see the school start earlier than 8 o'clock or later than 8 o'clock, the people who have the power to do that are the board of directors, the trustees for the Kern High School District. And so for them, the best way to get to them is either to present a speech in front of the board during their board meetings, or you can write a letter to Dr. Schaefer, who is the superintendent. That is a really good way of getting your claim out there so that somebody can respond to it. If you're comfortable with the argument essay, then you can go ahead and do the argument essay for this. And we'll help you determine what the audience is for that. Or you can actually do a public service announcement or YouTube video, kind of like on the idea of a TED Talk, or it will be something that shows the information that you've researched and which direction you want to go. Okay. So when you guys did the interviews of the primary sources and you had that discussion, you guys talked about who has the power to change something. So let's talk about which claim, first of all, do you think you really want to respond to? You've seen some of them, and the decision you make now does not have to be the one that you finally come up with. Miriam, what was the one that we talked about earlier?
What was the question?
What was the claim you were aiming towards?
That schools should start later because it has a lot of benefits.
Very good. Okay. So, and then we said who would be the one you would want to talk to?
Like the district office.
Right. Because they're the ones who would initially have the power to change that. Afnan, what have you kind of decided which way you want to go on this?
Same thing. That schools need to start after 8 or 9.
Okay.
Seems function better.
Okay. Landon, do you know which way you're leaning?
I mean, like, personally, like, I don't think it matters.
Okay.
Like,
that's fine.
For my school, because, like, I'm homeschooled. So
right.
I don't go to school.
Right. So for you, yes, that's still a legitimate cause for concern because What if, even in your situation, if the schools were moved, can you see any impact for you at all? I can give you one. Traffic.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I was late.
That's why.
That's
Okay.
why.
Yeah. If we've got buses running during rush hour, it's not going to be pretty. We already have. We're in a town right now that takes 40 minutes to go somewhere where it used to take 10.
Yeah.
So yeah, transport. If we've got all those buses thrown in, and that could be another reason why we start early. We don't want those buses in that mess of rush hour. So either to work or there. So yes, that would be a really good one, saying we really shouldn't do this because it's going to impact. Who do you think might want to have that information? Who would you want to tell that to?
The board.
The board also. So yeah, you would say, hey, I know I think you guys are considering this. Please don't.
I remember like one of the articles there was like a mother
Mm-hmm.
that like made a complaint about her child getting on that.
Right. Yeah. And as you're and pushing the middle schoolers too, they're still kind of on the young side to be getting themselves to and from school. So you're actually putting them in more dangerous situations anyway. Emma, do you know which way you want to go with this?
Maybe starting early.
You would like so you're good with starting school where it is now, or are you one of the later school starts and you would prefer to see it earlier?
Like where it is now.
Say that again?
I like it's okay where it is now.
Okay. So you would be kind of on Landon's side too. What would you say then, knowing what you know about the physical things that happen in a teen body? What do you think might be a solution to the problem that we've got these lower performing students? Is there a solution for them?
It could help, like, have more opportunities to help them learn more later after school.
Good. Okay. So if you open up the after school activities where you don't need that transportation per se, yes, that is an excellent idea. And again, who might your audience be?
The board.
Board again, yes. So, in fact, I think we may be leaning more towards this. Now, I have had students in the past ask their parents, that their parents actually became their audience, saying, I know I'm one of these teens. I know I'm being affected by this. Can we work it out so that I don't have a first period? And so if you write the essay to your parents, that's another audience. Who are some other potential audiences other than the school board and parents who might also need to hear the information and to make some decisions based on that information? Counselors. Very good. Counselors, yes. Counselors may not know this. In fact, the reason I put this module together, I saw Wendy Troxel's TED Talk just going through YouTube. And I, as soon as I heard it, I'm like, oh dear, I feel so absolutely guilty because I would tell some kids in my first period class, and my first period class started at 8:25, and I would tell them, they came in 10, 15, 20 minutes late, I'd say, you have got to set your alarm to wake you up earlier.
What's it called? Whenever like I would go late to class, whenever I would go early,
Mm-hmm.
they would be like, oh, you can't come in until you have started class.
Exactly.
And you would have to walk all the way back to the office and then all the way back to the class.
Which makes no sense whatsoever, because that means you miss another 10 minutes of class. So counselors, security, all of those people can still be audiences that you can give this argument to. So here are some sample claims that if you like them, I tell you what, I'll give them to you. Those ones you can copy and keep if you like, but you have to prove it your own way. You have to support it your own way. So changing school start times may result in better academic performance by teens. Who would want to hear that of the audiences we just went through? The board and parents. Who did you say, Miriam? Counselors. Yes. Accommodations should be made for teens who need to sleep past 8 a.m. to get the full rest they need. Same audiences, right? Online education can provide a solution for teens who have difficulty staying awake in class. And that kind of sounds like one you'd want, Landon, because this is how you perform. It's how you work, right? And you're doing, are you full-time online with us, or are you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So this is how you, and how late into the night would you work?
I stay up there late and do my schoolwork. It's kind of bad.
No, it's not. Because
Really?
you're getting your work done, right?
Yeah. Well,
Exactly. Yeah. Do you know when, I can see when everybody submits their work.
I'm probably not.
You're not the only one.
Okay.
1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. I'm getting assignments, and they're not bad. They're very good. And as we look at that chart, I mean, you guys are still, your brain is still active at that time of night. It's not a bad thing. As long as you're getting the work done, you're doing the thinking, because I'll tell you something, once you hit your 30s and 40s, yeah, you won't be able to do all-nighters anymore, sorry. The impact of changing school start times on the family is too great to risk such a change. Again, that might be something you want to go to as well. But if you, and Emma, you said you wanted it to stay the same, so that would be a really good claim that you could use. The lack of sleep in teens may not actually be due to the cycle of melatonin in the body, but rather to the technology they take with them to bed. And I saw that a lot within the discussions, that phone or that computer may be part of the problem.
Yeah, but if we're on the computer, we're doing work. So maybe that's why we can't sleep either.
That's a possibility.
For me, it's my Xbox. For me, it's Xbox.
For Xbox, yeah.
I staying off my phone all night. Like I read an article that you sent, and it said 2 hours before you sleep.
Right.
And I still couldn't sleep. I don't think it's good.
Very good. Very good. And notice what you just did. You provided a personal observation and counter-arguing for that. That's what you want to do.
Honestly, like not devices that keep me awake. Because I don't have a device.
Right.
I still can't sleep till like 3 or 2.
Okay. That's a good one. And now, for me, but I'm not a teen, this summer I had to tell myself, okay, you can't have your phone, you can't stop charging the phone in the bedroom, because I would be on it and I'd be watching one YouTube video after another. And I'd still be up at 1 o'clock with my eyes wide open and I can't sleep.
I have my phone right next to me, and usually I'm on it, and it's 100%, and I still leave it charging.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, you better leave it until it's 102%, take it off.
And I've heard that's supposed to be bad for the phone, but mine seems fine. But even so, that it's supposedly the lighting. Somebody had, it was one of the seniors, because the seniors also have been doing something sort of related to this topic. And one senior found an article where it was described like giving caffeine to your eyes because of the bright lighting. Now, there's a setting on my phone that says night light. You guys have that one? Yeah. To me, that's just annoying. I know I'm supposed to be, because what it's supposed to do is cut out that part that is stimulating the brain, allowing it to stay open. So it like makes it a sepia color so that, it's not as bright and your brain waves won't be as active.
Then you get mad because you can't see.
Yeah, because this doesn't look right. So you're changing it. Okay, so these are some sample claims. Is there any other claim that you thought of that you might want to run by me, or do one of those look good? You're good? Everybody's good? Okay. Okay, so no matter which of the three options you choose, the format is going to be pretty much the same. The introductions first with your claim. Now, Toolman argument paragraphs we're going to go over in just a couple minutes. Those are the body paragraphs, and then you have a summary of argument and then a call to action. The bullets here are not necessarily paragraphs. Well, the number 2 is, obviously. What the number 2 is, that's kind of like 2 reasons. You're giving 2 reasons why this should happen. And then the summary of argument and call to action could be by themselves or each of them can be a full paragraph, or together they can be a conclusion. So Toolman. The Toolman argument style that's been around, it does look a little like the way Jane Schaefer did it. Did you guys, with the multiple colored pens, the topic, sentence, concrete, detail, commentary, does that sound familiar to you? Yes? Okay. Emma, have you seen that before with the Jane Schaefer paragraph style with the 4 color pens?
Did.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay. This is pretty much the same thing. But also notice that this actually comes from a debate style. If you were in forensics, which is not CSI stuff, it's debate. It's basically speech and debate. Debate does this. So you start with your major claim. And that was like one of the ones that we had earlier. Yes, you still want the lead in. Yes, you still want to get the reader's attention. Then you have sufficient evidence. So it's the first piece of evidence. That really is the evidence that led you to the question. So you can kind of go backwards that way. Whatever evidence you saw that led you to the claim, that's what you're putting here. And then you have what's called a warrant. The warrant is the explanation tying the concrete detail to the claim. So if we go backwards, let me go back to the claims here. Pick one of the sample claims and then pick a piece of evidence that you know goes with it, that supports it. What? I shared it to check your inbox because it was sent to you yesterday afternoon. I probably should have brought the articles as well, but okay, let's go back a couple more.
You can do it the first one that's like 2 weeks, the claim 2 weeks full time.
Okay.
Like a fact for it would be like of sleep can lead to poor academic performance and things.
Okay. And then as soon as you've said that and you've offered that information, now what you do is you tie them together. So, and who is it who said that like depression is more common in teens that can't get enough sleep or something like that? Who's
TED Talk and the blog.
Yeah, Troxel TED Talk, Lupin blog. I don't know if that helps. But so according to psychologist Dr. Wendy Troxel, a sleep specialist, now you've put in all that ethos. She said that, and then whatever she said, and then now you're tying it together. So it's no wonder that teens are more prone to suicide attempts if they're battling depression because they're not getting sleep. That's the warrant. So it's the tie that puts the two together. Now you want backing evidence for the warrant. So now we need a little more. We need to boost it up a little more. So depression and, well, no, wait, we're in poor academic performance, right? Okay, so so who else said that poor academic performance is a result of teens not getting enough sleep? Pretty sure the School Start Later site did, right? Not necessarily Lupin, but the site most likely gave that information. And so you would back it up even further. Then you're going to give the rebuttal of the counter argument. Okay, so Afnan, I'm sorry, but we can't be starting schools any later than 8 o'clock because it's just really going to impact transportation. What do you say back now?
It benefits teens more and saves their lives better. So what's more important, their lives or transportation?
Perfect. That's the rebuttal. So that would be what you're putting in there at the end. Now, these do not have to be in this order, although the claim really should be on top. The rest of them depends on how you want to present the argument inside that paragraph. So this is a Toolman style body paragraph. So you would have two reasons. So if you're saying we need schools to start after 8 o'clock or no earlier than 8 o'clock, one might be because of the academic performance and one might be because of the emotional problems. So then you would have one paragraph about the academic, one paragraph about the emotional. And then with the rebuttal could almost be its own little paragraph at the end. And you're putting in that call to action as well. Okay. Does this make sense? I mean, is there anything about these Toolman terms that you're not quite clear about? Okay. It makes sense?
I don't know.
You don't know? Now, you said you knew Jane Schaefer, the Jane Schaefer way.
The whole.
Just the way this is put together. This is what is it? TS CDCM CDCM. Doesn't ring a bell? Okay, that's probably for a good thing. Okay. It's just how you're manipulating the information, how you present the information to your audience. Your audience needs to know what's important about it. That's what this style of arguing is all about. Okay. Why do I keep pressing the wrong button? All right, now, because now the MLA formatting means that the essay has to be with the double space and the heading and everything like that. But then they have what's called the MLA citation. This is the in-text citation. And especially if you're doing the PSA for the YouTube or you're doing a speech, obviously you can't attach a work cited to a speech that you're delivering orally. So you need to do that with the in-text citation. So the first time you bring in the source, you're going to put all of the information in there. So if we're looking at Wendy Troxel, so doctor or sleep, let's see, let's get this in the right order. Sleep psychologist, Dr. Wendy Troxel. Where is she from? From in her TED Talk. Now the date, I know it was in November because that was when the time changed. But you'd have to go back and look and see. In fact, let's go ahead and bring that up right now so we can see where. And I do want, it would be good if you could go back to the original. I think, did I give you the link in the lessons to the original TED Talk? Because this is what I really like about it. They're going to make me log in, aren't they? Okay. When you go to TED, I love TED. Do you guys listen to TED Talks on your own? Nope.
You know what's weird? It's like right before I got here, my grandma called me and asked me, "How do you access TED Talks?" And I told her, "What are you talking about?" I was like, I know what they were. I was like, is it an app or is it, I was like, I don't know.
It's a website.
I know, so I know I watch them in English class.
And I don't know if TED stands for something. This has been around probably for about 5 or 6 years, and what it is people talking about whatever subject, and people of all ages, people from all countries. There's some wonderful stuff out there and it's not all science, it's not all art, but in fact, some of the science is fun to listen to. I love these things. And the great thing about TED is that you can come down here where it says transcript. You can come down here where it says transcript. Why aren't you doing anything? Okay, there it goes. And you have not only the transcript, but if you press play while you're looking at the transcript, it will actually it will actually read along with it for you. So it can be, especially there are some brilliant people out there whose English is not great, but so it kind of helps when you go along with listening to that. So we were checking to see when she published this. So we'll go back to details, and that's the other thing you can do is you can throw the closed captioning on there and watch it that way as well. Come on. Oh, maybe it's already there. Okay. November 2016. Okay, so going back to the presentation. Oops. Oh, not this one. Okay. Sleep psychologist Wendy Troxel, in her TED Talk, and then you would put the name, I forgot what the name was already, put that in quotes. Thank you. And parentheses, November space 2016 states. You need to do that the first time. And then after that, everything can just be Troxel. Okay. So here's a sample of how you do the first introduction. So this is the first time. This is actually Donna St. George from her article. So notice how I've done this. Her occupation, she's just a reporter for the Washington Post. The title of the publication is italicized, so TED Talk would be italicized as well. Full name of the author, genre of the author, and then the full title of the article in quotations, and notice the capitalization. When you're capitalizing titles, you capitalize every word in there except prepositions like for or articles like the, unless it's the first. If it's the first word, you have to capitalize it no matter what. Then there's the MLA style of date. It would be the day, the month spelled out, and then the year. If you look at Troxel, you'll notice that it only says November 2016, so you don't need that number there. Okay. Now the second time, this is the second time I'm using St. George. But even when school started just 10 or 20 minutes late, many families struggled with the adjustment. Notice that I only needed the last name and then the paragraph number. You guys are going to be working with articles that if you just number the paragraphs, that's what we're going to look for. Okay. So that is what's known as, by the way, I'll write this as needs lead-in. And a lot of people are saying, I don't know what you mean. This is a lead-in. The lead-in is giving all this in-text citation information. You need to say who you're getting this information from. Okay. Now, the works cited page, you do need it for the essay. If you do the PSA, run the citations as movie credits. For the speech, you only need internal citation, just like I showed you in the previous slides. I do have this link for you on the slides presentation. If you click that link open, it will take you right to the resource page for the MLA help. That's also where you will see how to format the works cited page, how to do in-text citation. I always throw in, this is how I look for how you write these academic paragraphs. So if you're still not sure, you can take a look at that. So that resource is there for you. Okay. The business letter option. If you write to the Board of Trustees, you do not, okay, here's the deal. If you decide you want to really send this letter, I would like you to use your real address. If you're not going to send it, make it up. For the Kern High School District, if you want to write the letter to the board, here is who you would write it to, and that's going to be a picture. So I think I'll probably attach another, let's put in a new slide. Why don't we do that? Okay. Come on. So the actual address is going to look like this. To Dr. Ryan Schaefer. He is the superintendent. He's the guy who's in charge of everything. Kern High School District. And our address here is 5801 Sundale Avenue, Bakersfield, California, 93309. So this is the address of who you would send it to if you're sending it to the Board of Trustees. He would be the one who gets it. If you want to send this to, I don't know, your mom, your dad, you can just put your own address there. But the letter, the business letter, is done in block style format. Come on, come back up. Where'd it go? Here we go. Present. The block style format means everything is justified over on the left side. Between each section, there are 2 spaces. This actually looks a little more than 2 spaces, but it is 2 spaces. The letter itself is single spaced with a space in between paragraphing. That's how you know the paragraph changes, because you have a space. This is different from the MLA format where you just tap, and it's double spaced. In Google Docs, I have also linked for you what this looks like. Maybe I didn't. Oh, well, here's the good part. The link at least takes you to, you have a choice. You can do the letter, And actually, when you click that, it could give you more choices in style if you want. I don't care what the style is. I just want to read it. Or if you want to do your essay, it also gives you the MLA one there. And this one, when you click on it, this one's different from the one that's linked in the resources because it actually has for you at the bottom MLA citation formatting, which is good because the way Google Docs does it, it's a little bit harder. So if you go down to the bottom, there's a works cited and it's set up for you. Okay. And there's the address for the Kern High School District. There's your MLA formatting. Now, option 3 for the video. We want it to be 3 to 5 minutes in length. So that means it needs to be at least 3 minutes long. It needs to have some kind of representation of a visual representation of the evidence, graphs, charts, etc. You can use an animation program such as Powtoon or GoAnimate. There are ones that are free. Those two do have free programs. They're a little bit limited in what they provide, but you don't need that much anyway. You would want to submit the link to the video, and it needs to still have the same content, the introduction, the Toolman, conclusion, and call to action. But rather than grading you on the writing part of it, I'm going to grade you on the visual part of it, of how well you represented that visually. Okay, peer reviews. Always tricky. The artifact is due October 2nd at 11:59 p.m. You actually have the weekend plus on this one.
When's that CD?
That's when it's due, October 2nd. Okay, so that's what, Wednesday? Yeah, at the end of the day. So I want to give you plenty of time for this. If you do not submit it by that point, there will be no peer review assigned. So if that happens, you have a 15% deduction, but you still have to do the peer review on your own document. They will be assigned to at 12 a.m. on the 3rd, so it's the next minute over. And then you will find your peer review under 2.6.5 under your submission information. Now, I'm going to throw a monkey wrench into the works here. We have just finally been able to merge Turnitin.com with Canvas. I went to the training, and while Turnitin does allow peer reviews, it's really funky the way it happens, and it doesn't work well with Canvas. So the reason we want to do Turnitin is I'm not trying to get you. Most of the time, what Turnitin helps you do is, number one, make sure that you have indeed correctly cited everything that you've taken from another source. When I look at a Turnitin report, when I see the highlighting that shows that this was also similar in another paper, I just go to make sure that there's quotes around it and that there's a lead into it. The other thing that it does is it helps you check your paper before you actually submit it. And it will help you look for grammar problems. The ETS reader, which is what's checking it, doesn't do a very good job. Certainly it'll tell you that you have an article problem in your name, and I don't know why it does that. But don't worry about it. If you know it's right, move forward. But if it shows you're missing a comma there, you can just put in the comma. So that will help as well. So you're actually going to submit this twice, and I'll show you what it looks like. So you're going to put it in 2.5. What did I just say? Oops, I'm in the wrong one. 2.6.4 and 2.6.5. So let's go to close out Troxel now. Are there any questions while I'm getting to this? Poor Offnon's about ready to just nod off. The good news is I understand why now. And I won't yell at you. I used to be so mean. So how many hours do you get a night that you actually sleep?
Like 3 or 4.
Oh my goodness, that is not good at all. Not good at all. Are you going to take a nap later today?
I can't sleep
Wow. What is that? Okay, so here's what it's going to look like. This, you'll see this little dude down here. Now, when you, I think it's this button. I've got to get into the student view is what I need to do because I'm not exactly sure how this looks. Let me go to settings and let me look at student view. Okay, let me go back. Okay, I can't do it because in the student view because I'm not a student. Okay. If you have trouble with this, here's what I would recommend. I would need one person to actually ask if we can do a Google Meet. And what I can do is I can screencast it when I can see your screen because I think it's just a matter of uploading it. I think it's going to be roughly the same as it would be in the next part, which is actually Canvas, uploading this into Canvas. But I think what you're going to see up here is some submission button. So whoever can get that in first, if you have problems, or if it's really easy peasy, tell you what I'm going to do. The first person who can submit it with a screenshot, what that looks like on your end, I'll give you 5 extra credit points on your essay. You got to be the first.
How do you know for first?
I'll tell you. Okay. So you're going to submit it there. What this does is it's going to provide you with the link to turnitin.com. The account already is set up for you. So Canvas tells Turnitin what all the information is. There's no need for you to worry about it. It will just link you over to there, and then you'll get to see the same report I do, the similarity report, the ETS report. When you look at an ETS report, it will look like this. Now, those of you listening in the podcast, basically, I do not think that Mr. Short nor Miss Paulson have set this up because I'm the one who started all this. And so as soon as I make sure this works, sorry, you're my guinea pigs, but as soon as I make sure this works, then I will show them how to put it in as well. But I think you guys will really benefit from seeing, just making sure that you've got everything cited. So, oops, I'm not a student anymore. Nope. See what happens when you work on things very quickly and you don't think ahead? I am not a student. I'm an instructor. Okay, now let me just show what one looks like here. And I'll grab this one. Okay, you have 3 layers here. And what you want to make sure you do is that you click the similarity in the e-reader. You won't have the blue one because I won't have done it yet. Once I put the blue one on, then you'll get to see it. But the purple parts show you where your problems are. And so like this one is missing a comma. If you hover over that and click on it, it will tell you what the problem is. And you just dismiss it. Anything else that's similar, see, this is how I would use it. So I look here and I see she's got the quote in front here and the quote end over here. This is properly cited, so everything is fine. This number is the percentage of how much is similar between your document and other documents that are in the system. You don't want this number to go over 20. And you want to make sure that everything in the middle is in quotes and properly cited. Okay, so that's what Turnitin will look like. This is an experiment the first time around. And then what you're going to do after you submit this one, you're going to submit it here so that it can be submitted as a peer review. All you have to do is just upload the same file you just did. And then that will be sent out as a peer review. So all the peer review information is going to happen on 2.6.5. Once you submit it the next day where you have your submission information, it's going to be on this assignment that you find the peer review. Okay?
I don't think I did that right last time.
Okay. It takes practice. And I wish there were an easier way to do it, but I've tried to break it down as easily as possible.
I'm not sure.
It's okay. I mean, that's, and like the peer review also has to have the copied link.
Like it says I leave a comment.
Right.
And I leave a comment. But like it just always tells me to leave it always tells me to leave no comment. It never says submitted or like turned in, you know what I'm saying?
Because you have to look at the, okay, there's the submission page and then there's the assignment page. It's the assignment page you look for the peer review. And then they give you the other person's submission page, and it's in a thing called SpeedGrader. And that's where the comment is. Add comment, and then you paste the URL to the check. And I do believe that this is a peer review checklist. So you will have the documents already made for you. You're just making a copy of it. And so it's just sharing that one. Okay, that was a lot of information. And especially since you are the morning session and you're probably waking up now, do you have any questions for me that you need any further help with?
Is Grammarly cheating?
No, Grammarly is not cheating at all. No. Grammarly is a wonderful, wonderful tool. I use it myself. I do too. Grammarly. Grammarly is a app. So my Grammarly is right here. What Grammarly does is that it checks any tab you have open. It checks the spelling and the grammar. Now, the only problem with this that I don't like is that where it pops up that shows, you've got 2 or 3 on this page, whatever, is right where the add comment box is in Canvas. And so sometimes if there's a mistake on the page, and I'm like, I'm not getting to that yet, and I have to close that in order to get to your box to write the add comment. That's the only thing I don't like about it. But other than that, Grammarly is fabulous.
Yeah, but for Spanish, whenever I'm writing, it always has a lot of the words underlined.
You can turn it off. There is a way to just tell it, not now. I think press the green thingy, and then that may... You've never seen it?
No.
It's the ad you keep. Usually that is the.
Gonna get it, but the ads were just so much. So
I know the ads they're constantly. In fact, in this recording, I'll bet there was one time that the Grammarly ad popped up. They are terrible with their ads, but no, Grammarly is not cheating. Anything else? Well, thank you all for joining. Emma, you're good?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. All right, then. Good luck if there's any questions, and especially when it comes to that turnitin.com. Like I said, this is the first time we're going to see it, so I hope, cross my fingers, it will work. And the first person who can send me the screenshot of what it looks like from their end, I will give you 5 extra points on your essay.
I think I've done it at West. We've used Turnitin.
But you used it directly with Turnitin. This is the first time it's been merged with Canvas. So, all right. Well, thank you all for coming, and I hope you get a nice night's sleep tonight.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, Emma.
I used Turnitin.
Bye.
Yeah.
Takes so long.